lot of people will ask the question, if God is real, if he truly exists, why can't I hear him? Why doesn't he talk to me? If God is really there, how come he doesn't just appear in front of me and talk to me? And the answer to this question is simply that that's not the way that God works. He reveals himself in other ways.
I remember when I was in 7th grade, I was in PM homeroom and I was sitting with two friends. And the discussion happened to be about God. Now, none of us were really too into our faith, especially me. But one of the kids actually was talking about the Lord, and the other said, yeah, I mean, I believe in God, because I guess where does this all come from? But, I don't. He's like, what do you mean I don't? He goes, well, God, turn off these lights. And nothing happened, obviously. I get what this kid was going for. A lot of people, they tend to feel depressed, they feel lonely, they feel forgotten, and they just think, why doesn't God say anything to me? Why doesn't he speak to me? Why isn't he right there in front of me saying, hey, I feel your pain, I know what you're going through, and why doesn't he talk to me? They can feel desolate, they can almost feel like they're in some kind of desert. There was a study that came out, said that 22% of Americans struggle with loneliness in their day-to-day life. That loneliness impacted their spiritual life, their emotional life, their relationships. And that makes sense. And they think, where is God? Why doesn't he talk to me? But at the same time, there are billions of people in the world that say they do have a relationship with God. They can feel him. They can hear his voice. They can have a real relationship with him. And he actually gives them joy, gives them a meaning, a reason for living. How do you make sense of this disparity between people? So many don't believe in God and think he's abandoned them, yet so many do. The answer lies in someone's ability to pray, to be consistent with their prayer life, and to listen to him.
When trying to hear God, one thing that I found to be really helpful in my prayer life is to be consistent with my practice. When trying to acquire any new talent or any new skill, it's not going to come naturally. When I was younger, I learned how to play guitar right around 8th grade, and at first it was painful, it was almost a little bit boring, and it wouldn't come easily. Now there's a temptation that comes through with that. If something doesn't come easily, if you're not good at something, you could give up really quickly. You might dedicate some time to God, you might schedule prayer for the morning when you wake up, and really put your heart into it and really try to hear God. And if you don't, after one try, you could easily give up, but we can't be that way. Jimi Hendrix didn't become a guitar legend overnight. Steph Curry didn't become a three-point magician with one day of practice. And you might not pray like Padre Pio the very first time that you pray. Be patient with yourself, persevere, and it'll come.
It's very hard to find God and to hear God if you don't have a consistent prayer life. And it's also very hard to hear him and find him if you can't listen to him. So here's how.
If you want to hear God, he might have a hard time reaching you if you're always mindlessly scrolling on your phone. Don't be afraid to put your phone down and enter into a few minutes of silence. It's a great first step on how to hear God.
Step 2, listen to your conscience. Your conscience is one of the ways that God speaks to you naturally every single day. If you do it right, you can almost feel him rather than hear him. You also want to ask God to forgive any sins you might be holding on to so you can have a clear conscience rather than a murky one.
Step 3. Listen to the advice of good people around you. Sometimes God can speak through others without them even realizing it. They can offer you wisdom, counsel, or just plain old friendly advice.
Be open to signs and slow down so you can notice them. You don't want to fall into the trap to think that everything is a sign from God, but if you're open, he will send you them. Look at your life. What's going on? What's God trying to say? Take a step back, stop, and let him speak.